Hey everyone, so today I'm just going to show you in OpenRouter how we can get that feedback about the novel as beta reading feedback without having to be a novel crafter. So say you don't have a novel crafter subscription, say you're just getting started with AI, anything is absolutely fine. I'm just going to show you another way so that you can get that feedback that is really helpful so that you know what's maybe needed and what kind of editing you need to do. So for Seaside Skies, which is just the 30K in 90 minutes book that we did a while ago, I exported it here from Novel Crafter because that's where we wrote it. And then I have OpenRouter here. I'm going to go ahead and clear the models. You can absolutely do this in Poe too if you prefer Poe. You're going to have to break it up into small chunks, and you may end up having to jump around between models depending on which one you choose. So like GPT-4o, I think it's 10 messages per day, which is fine. If you're just doing, say, a chapter and then you want to get feedback about that individual chapter, you absolutely can. It's really whatever works for you. So I am going to go ahead and add, let's do Sonnet 3.5. If that sound is really annoying, I'm so sorry. My bearded dragon just woke up and she's on a little bit of a rampage. So I am going to, you know what, first of all, no, do not rephrase that. No, don't. First of all, I'm going to see if it'll do it in one chunk. I'm just going to move that over there. We're doing this right now. So I'm going to see if it'll do it in one chunk. If not, we'll break it apart. I'm going to go ahead and max tokens, max chat memory for what we're doing right now. Here's the book. Send it out, see if it gives us an error that it's too big. If not, great, but if it does, that's okay. Okay, it's not going to. Interesting. Please summarize the outline for this book. The reason that I asked for the summary is because I need to know that the AI has an idea of all of the book and it didn't just stop halfway through. So 3.5 absolutely understands what the book is, can handle a 30K in one message, which is fantastic. That's a nice little treat. And then let's see what the strengths are. Okay, and the development. Pacing, repetition, okay, absolutely, I agree with all of that. I'm going to include that prompt, and then I'm also going to include this initial prompt so that you have it, so that you can know kind of how I worded it, so that maybe it'll help. And then I'm just going to jump right into the beta reading questions that I like asking it. So say you wrote your book in Word or Google Docs and you weren't using Novel Crafter. This is a really easy way to still get that feedback and not have it be something that you have to have a subscription for. Like, you don't have to do the monthly post subscription. You don't have to do the monthly Novel Crafter subscription. You can very easily just put, I think it's $5 for the minimum on the Open Router, and then $5 will get you really far, which I'm going to show you. So this is pretty much the exact same thing that it said up here, which is fine. Okay. So the AI feels that Emma is the strongest character, which I agree with. That's very fair. Oh, my hands are super dry. Okay, so the ex-boyfriend. No, I completely agree with all of that too. Does that mean that we need to keep in mind all of this and that we need to completely rewrite Alex? Dragon, you are okay. No, it doesn't. We don't need to go deeply into Alex. I mean, this is a 30K. As much as the AI would like to see him have more depth and fleshed out, he's an ex-boyfriend that absolutely works as a plot device. So if you want to leave him as an ex-boyfriend that's going to be a little shallow and doesn't really do a whole lot except for helping Emma move forward, you absolutely can. That's your book. He doesn't need to have more in his life, and he doesn't really need to have things going on that aren't part of Emma's story. But if you want to dive more into him, you absolutely can. Okay, so chapter 11 is the weakest chapter. Okay, chapter 9 would be the strongest. Now, it's already mentioned some of the ending and the predictability and how it could use more drama, but let's see what else it gives us. Okay, that's all very helpful. Now we've had a lot of really good feedback. Let's do just a couple more things. No. Right, both of those are good. They both need edits, obviously, but they're good starting places, especially if you're like me and you don't like writing blurbs. Okay. I don't always ask for a playlist, but sometimes it's fun. Okay, there's some cute stuff here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Actually, I want to show you the total first. So we're at 489. We are now down to 265. So let me show you what that looks like. So because Sonnet 3.5 is significantly more expensive than Haiku, each response was 12 to 13 cents. Also keep in mind that it was accessing a huge chunk of data to be able to give those responses. So if we had asked for, say, just a little bit, let me show you what I mean. So if we had asked for chapter 1, just instead, just chapter 1, I'm going to go ahead and go right here. So instead of a 30K that it's focusing on, we're only looking at about 2,000, 2,500 words. So keeping in mind that, let's go ahead and look at what that response cost. Well then. Why is it doing that? Let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and okay. Let's just take a quick look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and no, I'm gonna leave it. Alright. So I will play with Sonnet more. It's generally cheaper than that. So I definitely want to see why it's being so expensive right now. But keep in mind that a 30K and getting feedback on it was about 12 to 13 cents each time. This I expected to be a lot cheaper because I was only giving it. Yeah, let me try one more thing. Chat memory 2. I'm going to see if this changes it, because this is it not referencing the past. It should not be referencing the 30K right now. So with that in mind, Okay, 12 cents. That's significantly better. I mean, it's not significantly, but it's better. So if you're going to use Sonnet 3.5, just keep in mind it's pricey. It's just straight up pricey when you get feedback compared to something like Haiku, which I will show you very quickly. Control-C. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and turn off yes. I'm going to go ahead and add Haiku very quickly. There we go. So this is accessing just Haiku. No, you are not welcome here, Sonnet. Okay. That is the first chapter. So let's take a look at Haiku giving feedback for the first chapter. So I killed Sonnet, but it was going to start doing 24 cents. Haiku feedback on the first chapter, 2 cents. So if you don't want to spend a ton, if you don't have a lot of money to throw at the beta rating, maybe you just spend a ton making Sonnet make you a book. Consider Haiku for the beta rating. I'm going to show you the different responses. So chapter, ignore this, this is the entire book. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So we can compare the first chapter from Haiku and the first chapter from Seaside Skies for 3.5. So Sonnet said, of course, vivid sensory, character introduction, the setting was established, some foreshadowing, some emotional journey. There's a meet cute. Weaknesses would be pacing, adjectives. There's no conflict in the first chapter. There's really no conflict in the entire book. That was by design. Predictability, the inner monologue, and background information. That's fine. It's a first chapter. This is from Haiku. No, this is from Haiku. Strengths, vivid descriptions, which is the same thing that Sonnet said. Nice narrative, sensory details, transitions. Hey, it mentioned sentence structure, tightening the dialogue, more emotionalness, and then introducing Jack could be expanded on. So all good feedback, but pay attention to which AI you're using, because is Sonnet so much better than Haiku? You'll have to make that decision for yourself. It definitely gave more information, but is it worth so much more, especially when you are doing things repeatedly? You know, say you're going through and doing a really deep dive on every single chapter. You're going to spend a couple hours just getting feedback so that you can spend, you know, the next 6 hours editing it. that can get expensive. But is it worth it? Possibly. Is this something where you may want to consider having a Poe subscription instead? If you are looking at 3.5 and you're saying, okay, well, it's 12 cents, but I have all these questions that I need to go over, it may be worth the $20 a month. To me, it's not, but I mostly use Haiku. See, most of my things are way down here in like the 1 cent, or I'll go over here, like 1 cent, 2 cents, less than a cent, way less than a cent. So that's why I prefer to use Open Router, especially because most of my stuff is in Novel Crafter, and Poe does not pair with Novel Crafter at all. They're two completely separate things. So for me, Poe isn't worth it. But if you're not in Novel Crafter and you're using an expensive AI, you may want to look at Poe. But Open Router is a nice way to test them out. Poe is also a very nice way to test them out, because Poe has a lot of them that you can do for a few free messages or from completely free. So definitely try them both out. If you have $5 and you want to play with Open Router, I suggest it. I like playing with it, especially because you can get some really good feedback. And there you go. And if you're with something like Haiku, you're not going to spend a ton of it. I would have to do so much more, and I do a ton. I do so much with the AIs, but I would have to do so much to be able to make Poe worth it, especially because I couldn't do it in Novel Crafter. Now, if you're doing a really expensive AI and you're not in Novel Crafter, take a look at what Open Router costs so that you can decide if it's worth jumping into having that Poe subscription. I definitely suggest, before you take that $20 plunge, do $5 on Open Router, see what you actually spend, like your average monthly. If you run through that $5 in a day, consider Poe. If you, at the end of the month, are like, wow, I spent 10 cents, because I'm not really doing a whole lot with it, that's absolutely fine. Or if you're like, hey, I really need the image creation that's in Poe. Now, Midjourney is not in Poe. I wish it was in Poe because that would save me a bunch. But if you, like Dolly's in Poe. So if you want, say, Claude Opus and Dolly, Poe might be a good option for you. There's lots of different things that you can look at. There's lots of ways of comparing it. I just want to open your eyes up to it because this is very helpful. This is helpful to know. This is helpful to get feedback on. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I will be posting a lot more this week. I'm trying to get more consistent. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for being here.